and homestead blessings.
A time-honored skill that we have enjoyed is the adventure of making our own dairy products.
There's nothing better than homemade ice cream on a summer night.
Practical and fun, this is an art the whole family can take part in.
So come on in, let's get started.
One of the great things about homesteading is all the wonderful dairy products you can make from milk. Let's get started with one of our favorites.
Hand-cranked homemade ice cream. It is wonderful. The taste is excellent, and it does take a little harder work sometimes and takes a little longer, but I think it's worth the effort.
Oh yes, definitely.
Today we're going to start with a basic ice cream recipe, and what you start with is 4 cups or 1 quart of milk. Would you like to pour this in our pot?
Sure.
What our general idea is, we're going to warm up the milk, and also you're going to use 4 cups or a quart of cream. It's easier for us to just put it in the quart jar because it's already measured. If you want to do that ahead of time, then you don't have to measure 1 cup at a time.
So we're going to start it on low?
That's right. You want to have it on low to medium heat because you just want to basically really warm it up. And I'm going to go ahead and pour in the milk here.
The color is beautiful, nice and creamy, isn't it? It already looks good.
While this is heating up, I'd like to ask Mom and Jasmine if you'd like to crack 5 eggs.
Sure.
Your next ingredient is going to be 5 eggs that you want to beat well. Crack these in a bowl here. We raise our own chickens, and so we get our own eggs. And we've noticed sometimes when you've raised your own chickens, they seem hardier. The eggs are more yellow and rich, but the shells can also be harder to crack. Your next ingredient is going to be 1.5 cups sugar, which you're going to mix in really well with the eggs. You want to blend that really well because you want to have like a creamy consistency is what you're aiming for.
So we're just going to whip these eggs up.
Is that about 1.5 cups, Mom?
Yes, ma'am.
And just whip it right into the...
That's right. Just pour it in there and you can mix that up really good.
This is something...
to start stirring your milk.
This would be fun for the children to do, wouldn't it?
Oh, this is such a great project for the whole family to do, to get your children to help with.
Children love to crack eggs.
I love to make ice cream, and I'm not a child anymore.
It's so much fun though to make homemade ice creams.
Now you're going to want to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Some recipes only call for, I think, didn't we see one CC that called for like a teaspoon of vanilla, and I thought vanilla ice cream with just 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I mean, seems like you could use more than that.
Vanilla.
We like vanilla.
So actually, if you aren't a big vanilla fan, you can put in less. But if you really like vanilla like we do, you can put in more. So in this recipe, we're using 2 teaspoons.
Now, how warm do we want our milk to get here?
Just until it's really, very warm. It doesn't have to be hot. You don't want it to boil. So I guess you can test it with your wrist, and when it gets warm, then you're going to add your egg mixture. I think the milk is warm enough, y'all. It's warmed up. So we're going to add the egg mixture into our milk now, our milk and cream actually, and we're going to stir that up well, just slowly, gradually. You want to add it slowly while she's stirring. You don't want to like dump it all in at once.
It's looking more like ice cream already.
It is. It's actually getting that ice cream color. It looks like melted ice cream. What we're going to do next is we're going to let this cool down because you want it to cool a little bit. You don't want it piping warm or piping hot when you pour it into your canister. So we're going to let this cool down, and then we're going to hand crank it. We are ready to start the most fun part of ice cream making, and now we're going to crank it.
But we're going to leave the cranking up to y'all, so thank you for doing that.
But can we come back and taste it?
Oh yeah, sure, definitely.
We'll see you in a little while.
All right, can you hand me that pitcher there, and I'm going to just pour my mixture into this pitcher. Take this out. Careful here. Go ahead. There we go.
That is so beautiful.
I know.
It looks so creamy and good. It almost looks like you could drink it right now.
I know.
All right.
You want to grab the canister?
Sure. This is going to be what we pour our ice cream in. This is our canister here. Let's take this off. And what we're going to do is we're going to set our canister in our ice cream freezer. Well, let me take off the top so I can make sure it gets on there. You think that's on? All right. Now, you ready to pour in?
Now we'll pour it in.
So what is this going to make? Maybe about a half a gallon of ice cream, you think?
Yeah,
Something
probably.
like that?
Yeah.
Probably a little more because
Maybe
we
a little
used
more.
a quart of milk and a quart of cream, which makes about a half a gallon. And then we added eggs. So I guess it's going to be more than that, isn't it?
Yep.
Now we're going to put our top back on. Do I need to get the ice ready?
Yeah.
Okay. We have our ice ready. We're going to pour our ice over the top of the canister here. Now, if you have big ice, you might want to put it in a bag and hit it with a hammer and crush it up some. And you might want to make it a little more fine. You can see some of this ice is pretty fine, but there's big pieces in here too. So you can crush it up if you want to. It's cold.
Oh, I bet.
You just want me to start pouring it over there?
Yeah.
Okay,
Just put a nice layer of ice here all around.
You want to put it all around your canister, not just on one side. You got to make sure it's on all sides. So I'm going to pour some this way now. Okay.
All right, now we can do some salt. I do a layer of ice like we just showed you, and then we're going to sprinkle some salt in there. Actually, I'm just going to use my hands.
Okay. What kind of salt is this? It looks different. It doesn't look like you need it.
No, you wouldn't need to put this on your food. This is called ice cream salt, and you can find this at almost any store or supermarket.
Is it also called rock salt?
Mm-hmm. You could also use rock salt.
Is it time to put more ice?
Yep. So I just put maybe a half a cup of salt in there. And now we're going to do a layer of ice. This is a great thing to do if you're going out on a family picnic. It's so easy. You can mix up your ice cream, your eggs and your sugar and milk and cream ahead of time, put it in a container and carry out some ice and your ice cream maker, and it's a great fun thing to do on a picnic.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
Let people take turns cranking
I
it.
think it's time to add more salt, don't you?
Yep. All right.
Sometimes it can be a mess though, and you might want to do it out on your porch, or like she said, if you take a picnic out in the field somewhere, you could probably make ice cream just about anywhere outdoors. I mean, it's just really versatile, and it's also easy to carry around too. How full are we going to fill it with ice and salt?
I think this is about good.
So it's not quite filled to the top?
No, you don't want your ice to come up real close to your lid here because you don't want it to interfere with the turning.
That's right. The top of your ice cream canister is not airtight, and you don't want salty water or salty ice to get in your ice cream. I don't think that would taste good at all.
I'm going to put a little bit of more salt on the top.
Make sure this is all cleared off.
Now it's time for us to put our crank on here.
You might have to wiggle it around a little bit to get it on to fit just right. Is it on now?
Yep, I think it is.
Okay.
All right, now we're ready to start cranking.
I think I'm going to come over here so I can help you hold it. Hold the top. Now, here, how about we turn it this way, and I'm going to hold the top down. Sometimes it helps if somebody's holding the top down, and she's going to start cranking it.
Already that ice is melting down in there.
Can we add more?
Yeah, let's add a little more ice.
What you're going to want to do as you crank it, you'll notice that your ice is going to be melting down. You're going to want to keep adding ice and layering it with salt almost to the top, but not quite. And you just keep doing that as your ice cream's freezing.
Sometimes
more ice in here.
Sometimes it helps if you put a towel over the top of your ice cream maker as you crank it. It helps insulate it and keep it cold in there.
Depending on the kind of ice cream maker you have, you'll have to either crank it a little bit longer, or if it's electric freezer, it probably doesn't take quite as long, does it? Probably. But it's anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to crank this for a while, and then we're going to come back to taste this ice cream.
All right, now we We have had our farm girl workout, and I think our ice cream is ready. Let's take a look.
Oh, that looks so good. We cranked for about 20, 30 minutes, and it is hard. Look at this.
Yep.
That is beautiful. Let's see, are we ready to take this over to the counter?
Yeah. Let's take it over here.
Okay. We're going to be serving this up here in a few seconds. Right, we're going to have Mom and Jasmine come back to join us because we're all going to have a taste of this awesome looking ice cream.
Let's take this dasher out
Okay.
here.
Let me get a bowl.
You pull it out? Yeah. You might want to have a bowl on hand to put your dasher in because your dasher has lots of good ice cream on it. And you can lick that off too.
Cece, just
Oh, look how
put it right in
that
there.
looks.
That is beautiful. Can we stir this up some? You might have to stir your ice cream up a little bit because, you know, it might have gotten a little harder in some places. Generally, it's pretty creamy. Are y'all ready to serve up some ice
serve
cream?
some.
Yes, we like to get some sprinkles and fruit ready and just make a little party of this. This is a great fun thing for children to do. They love putting on their own sprinkles and everything, don't they, Mom?
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. And you can use your fancy pretty cups. Like I love this glass. I think it's so beautiful. You can use something fancy and pretty like that. You can use something as simple as a waffle cup.
Oh, those are so cute.
Isn't that a cool idea to eat your ice
Great
cream?
idea.
Ice cream cones, of course, are always, you know, one of the most fashionable ways to eat your ice cream. We've got all kinds of, we've got sprinkles and chocolate syrup. We've even got fruit, cherries, nuts.
Wow. This
And I'm
is
sure
gonna be
you
good.
could layer that too. You could probably
yeah.
get fruit down here and
Parfait.
chocolate, you know.
Or make
your
a chocolate
imagination.
sundae.
Right. Oh,
One more scoop on the top there. Normally, homemade ice cream is softer.
I think that's full. Mom, why don't you put a cherry and some chocolate syrup on top of this
love
one?
to. Do I put syrup first?
Probably.
And then cherry? All right. I can drizzle.
All right, now we're going to fill up this waffle here.
This is something
I can't
fun
wait to taste it. It looks so good.
the youngins can do. There, isn't that beautiful?
Start filling it
Some
up.
nuts on there.
Oh,
too.
that is beautiful. Here we go. I got a bigger spoon to serve this up with. That makes it easier.
Right.
Oh boy, we should put
right.
sprinkles on this one.
Oh, Hannah loves sprinkles, don't you, Hannah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, we'll put some of these sprinkles. Sprinkle them on top. Make it look how pretty that makes
How
it
about some
look.
blueberries on it too?
That's right. Put some blueberries on this one.
Hey, what about some nuts? The wonderful thing about homemade ice cream, another thing besides it looking good and tasting excellent, is that, you know, we know where eggs came from, we know where the milk came from, right?
Exactly.
Wonderful item from
Would you
our
like
dairy.
to taste some, Mom?
Yes, I'd love to. Okay. Oh boy, this one aren't those colors nice? That white, blue, red, white, and blue.
It's very good.
Whoa! What a blessing to make your own homemade ice cream. And we'd like to encourage you to do the same. There's nothing like the taste of fresh homemade butter. We'd like to show you how we like to make our homemade butter, right?
That's right.
It's wonderful.
What we have here is about a pint of cream in our quart jar. All we're going to do is just start shaking it up.
And it's as simple as that. Now, there are different kinds of churns. This is an old butter churn, and actually I think they're still making these things. This is amazing, and you would just keep turning like this, and this would do a lot of butter for you. And we even take a gallon jar sometimes. And
That's right. If
Yeah.
you want to make more butter, you can put a couple of quarts of your cream into a gallon jar and shake it like that. Like Mom said, you can use a butter churn. Yeah, it's actually fun to make butter because you have the satisfaction of watching. After you've shaken it for a while, you can start seeing around the edges of the jar that the butter will clump up.
Isn't it kind of neat that you get two products? You get the buttermilk and the butter.
That's right,
Isn't that a
you do.
blessing?
It's really
And
cool.
nothing like fresh butter on some pancakes and biscuits. Oh, it's wonderful. The taste. And the butter is usually a nice yellow depending
It is.
on what the cow
You know, some cream, you can use store-bought cream, you can use fresh cream from your own cow. It really depends. Some cream will make your butter a rich, deep yellow, and I have seen homemade butter that was white because of the different types of cow that you get your cream from. All right, we're going to shake this for about 20 or 30 minutes. until it starts to form into clumps, and then we're going to come back and show you how to work your butter and store it. We've been shaking our cream for a while. We've had this already made up, so we're going to show you. Actually, it's in the stage, it's not quite butter yet, but you can see here, if I can get the lid off, it's kind of tight. It's almost at butter. And what you're going to do when you're shaking up your butter, you're going to watch around the edges of your jar. You can see flecks of butter starting to form. You know it's almost ready, and that's what happened with this. It's a real quick transition. What happened with this is the flecks of butter started to form, and now we have the butter that's starting to clump up together. And I'm going to keep shaking this a little bit more. I'm going to shake it up so it'll be, because you want it to be completely like joined together in one big knot. I'm sure you can see how this is kind of like separated a little bit. We want it to be one big clump. All right, I'm going to put the top back on here, and I'm going to keep shaking this a little bit more. Now, sometimes you like to use a dish towel or a rag.
I was just going to say that.
Because if your lid's not on tight enough, it can leak out a little bit. But don't worry about it if it leaks out.
If two people are shaking up the butter, don't stand too close.
That's right. You always want to be careful when using jars because you don't want them to break. Another thing about your cream I'd like to add is you can purchase heavy whipping cream from your local supermarket, and you can use that to make your butter. It helps if you let it sit out in the jar until it's at room temperature. Once it's at room temperature, I think it makes butter faster. Or if you have your own cow, then you can just let your milk, after it's cooled down, your cream will separate, and you can use your own cream. You know what, Mom? I think this one's done.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. So it's all kind of joined together.
Yeah,
That's
you can see through the jar, but I would like to lick on the inside too. I think it's clumped together a little bit more now. And your butter is going to look pretty soft. It's not going to have like your store-bought butter look, you know, where it's really hard. You're going to have a soft look there. What we're going to do is let's see, if I have another jar, can you get that empty jar over there, Mom?
Can.
What I like to do is I like to pour my buttermilk off as much as I can into another jar, because I like to save my buttermilk to use it later on in making biscuits or chocolate cake. I love chocolate cake. Or whatever your recipes may call for buttermilk. You can use it in making salad dressings. So I try to drain a little bit of that off. It's okay if some butter clumps get in there. It just makes it richer and better when you bake it. Before I put it in my bowl. I'm going to put it here in the bowl.
This one?
We're going to start working it in just a second. But you'd like to pour off as much butter as you can before you start working it. Some people like to rinse their butter off. I don't. If you just work it, you really don't have to rinse it. That's completely up to you. What you want to do with your spatula is just start moving around that butter. And as you work it, more buttermilk will come out of the butter, like that. Let me pour some more off. It's amazing. Sometimes I'll think that there can't possibly be any more buttermilk left in that butter. And you just start working it around and more will come out.
Oh, I think, look.
It's starting to make. All right,
neat.
Here. Let's open this one up.
Okay. Can you open it?
It's on really tight.
Oh, wow.
Now what's happening with this one, this is so exciting. I was hoping this would happen. It's starting, as you can see, it just looks really thick and almost foamy on top, but it's not made butter yet. This is a sign that your butter's fixing to make. You can see it all around the edges, how it's sticking. Before, your buttermilk will just slide off, and when it starts sticking to the walls of your jar, you know you're close. It's not going to take much longer after that.
That's great. Yeah, that's a good feeling when you're shaking and shaking and shaking. Something starts happening. It's a blessing.
All right, Mom, you want to keep going? Oh, yeah, keep shaking. That should make a butter clump, too.
That's great.
And I'm going to keep working this butter here. Also, if you like, you can salt your butter. We usually don't salt our butter, do we, Mom?
No, because if a recipe calls for, it may call for unsalted butter.
That's
so
true.
We just leave it unsalted. Oh, wow.
All right, you can see how much buttermilk just keeps coming off of this butter. When Mom makes her herbal butters and her honey butters, look at that. Look how close that's getting.
This is beautiful.
Oh, that's so much fun. It's so exciting to do that and see your butter start to make that. Made a lot of butter. I think we're almost done working this butter up, Mom. All right, that's pretty much worked up. I mean, it could probably still be worked a little bit, but as you can see, it's smooth.
Nice. I've got
and there's not a whole lot of liquid to it. There's a little bit dripping out. And sometimes when I put it in the refrigerator, there will still be a little bit of The leftover buttermilk, you know, drops in it still, but it's not going to hurt anything to cook with or to put on your food, just fresh like that.
Beautiful.
And that is one of the easiest, quickest ways to make butter. You can also use a butter churn or a paddle like this. Those are really handy. Those are really nice. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to get a bowl to put our butter in. You can use butter molds. There are all kinds of different butter molds to use. They're really cool. I'm going to let Mom tell you about that. She knows a little bit more.
This is a really nice butter mold. Of course, this is pretty old. Somebody has made this, which is really nice. And what folks would do is they would put their butter in this, and then they probably put it outside. You know, they probably made it in the winter, and it would get nice and hard there, you know, during the winter. And then they would just press. Look, isn't that nice? When after it got hard, they just press it out.
Wow.
And they'd have a nice big block of butter. Isn't that nice?
That's so cool.
I love
how
that.
those work. Yeah. Today I'm putting it in a little bowl. I also have little containers instead of just putting them in a bowl that measure about a half a cup. And I've made a lot of butter. I'll put them in the freezer. Just put the lid on there. And that way, if your recipe calls for a cup of butter, I know to use 2 containers. So it's really nice if you know your container's a cup or a half a cup, you know, whatever you use most often, to freeze your butter like that. And I think this is going to look good like that.
You can also use all kinds of butter molds. There's all kinds of butter molds out there. Turn out with the design.
And it looks so pretty.
It takes
if you're
on the
setting
design,
a beautiful
doesn't it?
table, you're having special guests come,
It does.
or even just for your family, it's so beautiful to see homemade butter that you've made with the design from a butter mold. Or you can just have it served in a bowl like this, and you have the easiest, most beautiful butter ever.
Another thing you can do with your butter, besides eating on biscuits and all kinds of pancakes and breads, you can make a beautiful, wonderful gift with honey butter with a little bit of cinnamon.
Usually you would let this just sit out on the counter and it will get nice and soft, but we're just going to do it the quick way. And I use I have a pan on the stove, and then I just put this heat-proof bowl, the butter in the bowl, so it's kind of like a double boiler.
I like to take equal parts butter and honey. That's very easy. We've got about a half a cup or so of butter, and I'm going to put a half a cup of honey in this little measuring.
Wow, this
device.
sounds so good. It smells
Oh,
good
it's
too.
wonderful. Can I have the little bowl over there to mix it all
Sure.
in? Okay.
Or you
I
could just
a
use
green
this.
one. I guess I
It
could.
might be a little warm.
The cinnamon, I'm going to use probably, I would say, maybe half a teaspoon to a teaspoon, depending on how cinnamony you like it. After you make it, you put it in a jar, and you can give it as the most beautiful little gift.
Oh,
Isn't
that is so
Wouldn't that make a
cute.
nice gift?
Yes.
You would put on the tag the ingredients, and maybe that it will last about a week or so in your refrigerator. You know,
Probably just
probably
like
be
butter.
eaten up pretty quick.
Of course, it's too good.
Okay, I think that's ready. I can just mash
Yeah.
it up. Okay,
Just leave
pour
it in
in.
this bowl.
Okay, we'll pour it in, and we'll just keep it in here, and we'll just pour the honey in there.
Oh, that looks so good.
I love to make different kinds of butters.
Yeah, we make herbal
Yes,
butter
herbal
too.
butter, right? And honey butter is delicious. Just honey and butter is excellent. But that cinnamon just makes the most beautiful, and it smells so wonderful. Oh, look at
Wow,
that.
that
Isn't
looks
that
really
pretty?
nice.
And see how easy
Oh, it
this
smells
is?
so
It's
good.
just
I wanna eat
so
it right now.
easy. Just smash it all together.
So you're just mixing it and incorporating that the cinnamon and the honey into the butter. That's about it, isn't it?
That's it. It is.
Ooh,
It's
that looks
almost
good.
done. We can put it in our crock here.
Okay.
You don't have to use this much cinnamon. I got a lot of cinnamon in here, and I got pretty
gonna be
dark.
good. I'm gonna try. some.
Please taste it.
That looks.
And we
too
could always
good.
add a little more butter or honey if we need
Yeah, you
to.
can hardly go wrong
Okay,
with
see
this.
what you think.
That's
Isn't it
perfect.
nice? Isn't
I
it
like
nice?
it.
You like it with all that cinnamon? Now I'm just going to pour it in. Of course, you can start with a brand new jar, but I've got some butter going here, and I'm going to
That would be
add
kind
it
of
in
pretty.
there.
Do a
That's
little,
pretty different
a layered
colors.
look.
Isn't that
Oh, that's nice.
beautiful? Oh, that's nice. And you could probably serve this nice and warm if you'd like. Anyway, here we go. We'll put it up in our refrigerator for a week, or we'll find a friend to give it to.
talking about dairy products today and about making things from milk. We know most folks are going to be getting their milk from the store, but if you're ready for a real adventure, let's go to the source.
I think we need some feed.
Oh, sorry about that. Got it right on her head. She don't mind, does she? There she goes.
You got it right for me?
Yes. So Hannah's just gonna wash the teats with some soapy water, and she's using a terry cloth that's kind of gets all the little dirt particles or whatever, and just to don't have to like thoroughly scrub her down, but just this gets the dust and dirt off. We're gonna be eventually straining this milk, but we don't want it sitting in there while we're milking, so we're just doing a little cleaning. And of course she's eating her feed, so she's nice and content while this is going on. And here's the bucket. We love to use stainless steel buckets to milk in. They're easy to sterilize and keep clean. And Hannah is she's grabbing her first finger and thumb around the top and just rolling down. Yeah, she's full of milk, so it's going to be the first few times are a little difficult.
Actually, I was just thinking I might get Cece to give me a hand now. All right, Cece, you ready to take a turn now?
Sure.
Okay.
It's a beautiful afternoon, isn't it?
It is. Today is a great milking day because it's beautiful fall weather. Not too hot, not too cold, and but winter's coming, and those are some adventurous days ahead of us to milk in the cold. And
Cow still has to be milked.
that's right.
I remember last year it got in January. It got down to like 13. I think it was that morning. It was 13 degrees, and all the cows' water froze up in the tank, and we had all hot water from the bathtub all the way up the hill.
That's right.
Yeah.
And another nice thing we like to do is have 2 milk buckets going. We milk into one, and we keep one hanging up so that it doesn't get any barnyard mess on it. So it stays hanging up, and then we milk into one bucket, pour it into the other, and take it inside to strain it. And we'll do that right now. This is our bucket that stays nice and clean. Ooh, look at that nice, beautiful milk.
It's really creamy.
It is.
Oh, wow. Now, cow eats a lot of grass. Isn't it amazing that a cow eats lots of grass?
And turns it into milk.
And then we make cheese and
That's pretty cool.
yogurt. Not a blessing. Well, that was quite an adventure. And our cow, Lena, really helped us out with some nice milk there.
Right. We got a
Look
lot
at that. Isn't that great?
That's great.
You girls, how you doing there with your arms?
Well, we'll take this milk inside and strain it and get back to making more wonderful dairy products. Now we'd like to make mozzarella cheese. Mozzarella is a really fun cheese to make.
It is. What we're gonna need is you want 2 gallons of whole milk to start off with.
Right, and you want it cold.
Cold. What we want to do after we poured our milk into our pot here, we are going to take 2½ teaspoons of citric acid and dissolve it in a 1/4 cup of cold water.
And we want to dissolve it in the water, so we're going to stir it up really good first.
Right.
Like so, and the water will get cloudy.
Yeah.
And just as long as you don't see any more citric acid crystals, you know it's dissolved. It only takes a few seconds.
Now we're going to pour it in our milk, and we're going to stir it in here for at least 2 minutes.
And while we're pouring, right, Cece?
Yep.
All
You
right,
pour
there
and
we
I'll
go.
stir.
Okay, there we
And
go.
what does the citric acid do to the milk now, Jasmine?
Doesn't it help make it more stringy
Right.
and elastic? You know, mozzarella cheese is really good when you sprinkle it on pizza and then you get out your slice and it has that nice stringy cheese. That's what the citric acid helps this mozzarella do.
So you want to stir it in very, very well to your cold milk.
Exactly, and we're going to stir for about 2 minutes. And you're going to want to have a dairy thermometer. The nice thing about a dairy thermometer is when you stick it in your milk, this dial will turn right away. It'll go to the temperature that the milk is. A little later, we're going to add rennet. We're going to use a 1/4 tablet because we got the tablet forms. And there, you can find these in grocery stores too, or a cheese making supply catalog.
If you use liquid rennet, you want to use an 1/8 teaspoon.
And remember, when you're making cheese or other dairy products, you want to have everything nice and clean and sterilized, because otherwise you might put a little off flavor into your cheese. So have everything nice and sterilized and very well cleaned.
Next, we are going to heat our milk to 88 degrees.
So slowly. So we might want to do this on low to medium so that your milk won't scorch too fast, because you don't want that to happen.
No, and milk can scorch pretty
fast.
easy. Yes,
Yeah.
pretty fast.
So
It's really fun when you put the thermometer in and watch the temperature
you'll
go
have to
up.
watch it. So we'll see what degree it is right now. We're just going to stick this down in there, and it's about at 70 degrees. So just have a few more degrees to go. We can even keep this in there. It's nice to have two people making cheese. One can stir and one can monitor the thermometer.
I'm stirring because as it heats up, I like to get all the milk to be moving. And as if you just left it still, the milk might get warmer on the bottom and then not so hot on the top.
Exactly.
You want
your
it evenly
Yeah.
to heat it.
Should I go ahead and dissolve the rennet tablet, you think?
Yeah. Why don't you go
Okay.
ahead and have the rennet tablet dissolve?
I'll let you hold the thermometer, and I'm
we can
going to
take it out for
dissolve
now.
our rennet tablet. This is 1/4 of a rennet tablet, and I'm just going to plop it into the water, and I'm going to get another fork, a clean fork, and just stir that up. See how that dissolves in there? It's going to take a little while. Just probably crush it up a little bit. We want this nice and dissolved. This is what actually makes the cheese form the curds, right, Cece?
Yes.
Kind of makes it.
Exactly.
Cheese making is so much fun. I mean, you go from, liquid milk, to a more soft kind of curd, and then you end up with cheese. You also usually have a lot of whey left over, and you can use whey. Is the liquid part after your cheese is made, and you can use that whey in breads and soups even. It's very healthy for you. Well, for the longest time, I thought cheese making was going to be this really hard,
complicated
especially
thing.
mozzarella. I thought, oh, mozzarella, it's such a cool
Yeah,
cheese. It must be so complicated to make, but it's not. And our milk is now at 85 degrees, so we're really going to watch it, and maybe should we even turn
it down a little bit.
Yeah. I think we're going to just pull it from the heat, right?
We're going to pull it, as soon as it
don't
hits 85, 88, we're going to take it right off this heat because...
I think that's 88.
All right, let's take it off.
Okay, remove from heat, add rennet. That is dissolved in your 1/4 cup of water.
Here we go, add in rennet.
Okay, and then we're going to stir for 15 to 20 seconds. There we go. Just want to incorporate that rennet in there so that all the milk has the rennet. And it's not changing now, but when we let this set, which we're going to do, has that been about 15 to 20 seconds?
I think so.
Okay, we'll give it a couple of stirs. And then
We're going to let it sit for a half hour or until it has firmed up nice and good. And what we want it to be like is after we let it set, this milk up here won't be liquidy like this. It will actually be, when you touch it, it will be kind of like
firm,
more firm.
Yeah.
Yep.
It'll be a solid,
Yeah.
a soft solid.
at the top.
So we're going to let it set and come back and see what it's done. All right, our milk has turned into a nice firm, it's almost like tofu in there now. You can see that it's kind of pulled away from the side.
Really?
So now we're going to take a long knife. You want to use a long knife that will go all the way into the bottom of your pan, and we're going to cut this into cubes. And usually you cut it into long ways first. You want to go all the way down, just kind of an up and down motion like she's doing there.
And we want to cut them into 1-inch cubes.
Almost like blocks though.
Yeah.
So we're only going to cut down and then across. And that is nice. It is a solid all the way down.
All the way down. You can
That is
feel
so
it.
cool. Now she's going to cut across.
Now that I've cut the curds here, we are going to let it set for 5 minutes so that the whey can really separate from these curds. The next thing we're going to do is heat up our curds and our whey to 108 degrees.
Put it right there. And we have our thermometer ready. So we're going to do this slow. We're going to start at a medium. We have our thick bottom pot. We don't want to stir this probably too much.
You don't want to stir it like this or anything, but when you do stir it, you want to go down
just gently.
Like that, and then gently kind of come up.
Yeah, we could probably.
And I stir, go down, and then kind of come up.
Just real nice and easy.
You don't want to mix that whey back in with those curds. You want it just to stay separate like that.
And you can see that whey is nice and
oh yeah, it's really separated now.
Starting to separate. It's clear, but it's starting to look more like whey now, which is kind of a cloudy yellowish color. What's going to become our cheese is nice and white. Okay, it's getting close to 95. Slowly stir, like we did earlier, up from the bottom.
And just try not to break up those curds too much.
Just so we know
that nothing's sticking down there.
And also it helps, you know, mix it up and
heat.
circulate it so you get the correct temperature. But you should probably just stick it right in the middle and and you don't want to get it too hot. No. So probably have this ready to pull it over.
We'll probably pull it right off. It's good, it's good. Let's take it off right now.
We're going to pull it off and we're going to let this set for about 20 minutes and we're just going to stir it occasionally and then we'll come back and see what happens next.
Well, we've let our curds in our whey set for 20 minutes and now it's time to strain it off into the colander.
All right. So we have our bowl here to catch the whey.
We want to catch the whey?
Well,
or we can just strain it off into the sink. We don't need to catch the whey this time.
We won't catch the whey today, but
see all that whey, and then there's the cheese.
I'm gonna lift it up. This colander you have to lift up to kind of let it drain a little bit. You'll have to work with your colander. Wow! Oh wow, look at that. Get every little bit here. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna let this drain for about 15 minutes to get off all that whey. And then comes the fun part. All right, our lump of curd here, what looks more like cheese now, has been draining for 15 minutes and it's ready to cut into strips. We're gonna just, our water's getting nice and hot and we're gonna just start cutting this into strips and laying it into the bowl. You can almost just like crumble it up a little bit. Mainly you don't want it into one piece because what we're gonna do is start stretching these pieces.
And then we're going to pour hot water over it, right?
Yes, so we have our hot water, we added our ½ cup of salt, and I think I'm going to go get that. You might want to cut that up a little bit more. 1-inch cubes, again, is good for this step too.
Yep.
Just want smaller pieces.
So what the hot water is going to do is going to actually melt this, and so we can stretch it and make it stringy. Okay. Like cheese, mozzarella cheese is supposed to be.
We have our wooden spoons. Are we ready?
Almost. Here we go. And it's ready to pour in.
All right. A little bit of, okay, we're just gonna pour this in and start stretching it up. This is a ½ gallon of water with a ½ cup of salt. Wow, it is starting to get soft like
melt
cheese.
Together.
Just tell me when. So Cece's just gonna be picking it up and stretching it. See how it's stringing? It's making mozzarella cheese. We're gonna do this for about 10 minutes.
See that stringy, you want that, that's good. We want that to do like that.
Should we start draining some of this off?
Yeah, let's start draining some of this off.
We're gonna start draining some of the hot water off. Let me start running cold water down my drain so the pipes don't break. There we go. Okay, is that all you wanted to get off?
Let's go ahead and get some more off here.
Let me get some more of this water off and
put that back in here.
Okay, it is stringing and making cheese. That is so cool. It's gonna start forming into a ball. It's gonna start clumping up a little bit and stringing. And yeah, let's see. And this is very hot, so you want to be careful. Why don't we get like a ladle or something so we can start getting some of this cheese out. And we're gonna start working it. And this cheese is gonna start sticking together more. Wow, that is neat. Look at that mozzarella cheese.
You better put it in the sink because there's going to be a lot of juice draining off.
Now, this colander, I like a colander that has holes in it a little more than this one does. This has a lot of the metal, so it's not really draining good. So you would probably want to use a colander that's real holy. See how this one has a lot of metal?
Let's set it down here.
Okay, we're going to drain off this hot water. And then our cheese is going to work together. Now we're going to want to work it into a ball. And then we can put it in our mold. And it's still a little warm, so you want to be careful. Just let that drain there. I think we could start working it now. There we go. See how that salt water is drained off now? Now it's time to start working it. A little bit more with our wooden spoons.
Wooden forks.
Look at that. Wooden forks. You can use wooden spoons. Look at that. That's going to start making a ball of mozzarella cheese.
Now I want to encourage you that when you go to make your mozzarella cheese, it's just like learning how to do anything else, baking bread or cooking or whatever. It takes practice, and you have to test out your recipe. What we want to do here is work it like you would knead bread here.
Just squeezing out any extra moisture. But
that is nice.
Oh, yes.
Is it good?
That's really good.
Another wonderful thing to do with your dairy products that we love to do is make yogurt.
So we're going to start with 1 quart of milk, and we like to use skim milk. You can use cow's milk or goat milk. This can be pasteurized milk that you bought from the store, or we like to use our raw cow's milk. So we're going to put our 1 quart of milk into a stainless steel pot, and we're going to start gently and slowly warming this up. So turn on the stove here. And what we want to do is we want to heat this up to about 180. And you can use a thermometer if you would like, or we just look at it. It's the point where it's just fixing to simmer. Warm that up, and then you want to get some yogurt. This is going to be your start. We're making yogurt with yogurt. So we're going to use a little bit of yogurt. This is like 3 tablespoons to a half cup. I'm going to use a half cup because that'll make a nice thick yogurt.
Now, where do we get our yogurt if we're making yogurt?
We just go to the grocery store and buy plain yogurt. Just make sure you read the label and that it has live acidophilus cultures in it.
That's good bacteria, isn't it?
Exactly. It's wonderful, friendly bacteria, healthy. Yogurt is so good for you.
Great.
So we're just going to gently and slowly warm our milk or heat it to 180. And we like to make a raw milk yogurt. We don't heat our milk quite that high, which is what we're doing today. We're just going to bring it to about 110. Which is what you eventually want to cool your milk to. After you heat it to 180, cool it down to 110, and then you're ready to add your yogurt, which I think we're fixing to be ready for. I just test it with my wrist. You want it comfortably hot, kind of like when you're making bread. Yeah. So I think that's good. So we're going to turn off the burner.
That didn't take long, did it?
It didn't. No. So you don't want it too hot, or it will kill when you add your yogurt. You just want it about 110, comfortably warm, because you don't want to kill these great friendly bacteria that are going to culture and make your yogurt. They're going to turn this milk into thick, creamy yogurt, just similar to what you started with. So we're going to slide that off the burner just a tad. This is so much fun. You want to have a good whisk. I'm going to let you whisk it. I just don't want it to be too hot, so we're going to wait just a little bit. Important point is not to add the yogurt when this is too hot. So just let it cool down to about 110, which I think it is right now.
I think it's about 110.
So actually, Mom, if you want to add the yogurt, and we're just going to whisk this in very well. Just plop it in there.
Oh, plop it. Okay, I can plop it in there.
This is our half cup of yogurt. We're just going to incorporate this in this milk really well. As a matter of fact, If you whisk it very well, you'll have a nice creamy consistency. I think this is one of the first things we did when we started homesteading.
Yeah, it was.
We had a lot of milk.
Yeah, we couldn't fit our gallon jars in a cooler, so we just put it behind the wood stove. It works very
If you
well.
have
Just a real
warm place in the house, you can wrap your jars in towels and do it that way. If you have a gas oven and you just you want to put your jars of yogurt yogurt into the gas oven with the pilot light on, that works also. But I like doing the cooler because it just incubates. It's so nice. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to fill our jars now, and I'm going to let you put the lids on, Mom.
Oh,
if you
great.
want to
Okay.
come over here.
Sure.
You can use the ladle. I'm going to use this pan because it has a nice little pouring.
But basically, that's it.
I know you just pour it into your jars.
Ooh. Do you have to leave a headspace, or we don't really have to worry
it's
about
not
that,
gonna
do we?
grow any. It's
No.
just going to...
Okay.
And this is, of course, warm,
fast.
nice and warm, so when we pour our boiling water over it, we won't have any broken jars. So
Okay.
this is so much fun. We
These
love
I guess these are
yogurt.
jelly jars, right?
Now I have a little
that's
bit
what
more.
you'd call them jelly jars.
Yeah.
You could get these at most grocery stores.
Oh,
too.
yeah. So you want to put the lids on. And then you can use any kind of little cooler. We've even used big coolers.
Nice.
It doesn't matter. But you want to pour about a quart or two of boiling water over that yogurt. Or not over it, but into the cooler with the yogurt so that it comes up, I guess about halfway. And that is what is going to make our yogurt set nice and firm. So we're going to pour that boiling water in, let Mom put the lid on,
Okay.
and close it up, and then we're just going to let this set right here undisturbed for 4 to 10 hours. If you like strong yogurt, you want to let it set in there a long time. Usually from 6 to 8 it's done. That's when you want to check it, and if it's thick, it's ready. Let's go check some that we've had. It's incubated, and then we put it in the refrigerator, and I think it's ready. It's cooled down, and we got it out of the refrigerator. And this is, look at that. Doesn't that look delicious?
Wonderful.
I'm going to get a spoon and spoon it up so you can see just how creamy it is.
Isn't
that nice?
Oh, that's beautiful. Are you going to put
Now
some-
remember, the first time you make yogurt, it might not turn out just like you thought it would. Just keep trying to make it. This is something that you have to work with
that
and
is
practice. But look
nice.
at that. Isn't that nice?
Well, that's great.
Creamy. And
you
I'll
can
show you.
use yogurt for a lot of different
Oh,
things.
yes.
Just
You can use this as a
substitute.
sour cream substitute. There's just all kinds of things you can do with yogurt. What we like to do is add a little bit of maple syrup. I'm going to let you stir this. This is how you like to eat yogurt, isn't it, Mom?
Just a little bit.
You gotta have a fork
Whoa. That's the vanilla? Wow.
That's the vanilla.
Fork.
Stir it
I
in.
need a spoon, don't I?
I like
Okay.
stirring in with a fork.
Okay.
Gets it nice and incorporated.
Yes.
And you can add fruit to this yogurt. I'm going to use maple syrup to sweeten it.
Blueberries would be delicious.
Oh, blueberries would be so good. And this makes the best tasting yogurt. It is just delicious. And look how nice and thick that is.
That is nice.
That
All
is
kinds
so-
of different things you can make with this.
That's delicious. Another wonderful thing you can do with yogurt is make cream cheese. Now, it's not a real cream cheese, but you can use it just like the real thing. So you would take the yogurt right from the cooler after it's set, and you would pour it into a colander lined with a thin cloth. These are our sheer curtains that we just love to use so that it will drain. You don't want it falling through the hole, so that's why you put the cloth in there. Then what you do, it's so easy. You just pour the yogurt. This would be the warmed yogurt right into the colander that's lined with your cheesecloth. And I like to put it in another stainless steel bowl so that you can catch that whey, and then you could do something with that whey probably if you'd like to. Whey is a really good byproduct for making cheese and other dairy products. And you would just let this drain overnight, so for about 8 hours. And what you're going to be left with in the morning is you just squeeze it a little bit to remove any excess water, and then you're going to have a beautiful pat of cream cheese there that you can use in any recipe that calls for cream cheese. And that is the wonderful thing, easy yogurt and yogurt cream cheese.
Whether you own a milk cow
or purchase your milk from the market,
we hope you'll discover the satisfaction of making your own home dairy products.
Look forward to seeing you again next time
Here
at Homestead Blessings.
Whether you own a milk... Sorry.
Welcome to Homestead Blessings.
A time-honored skill that we have enjoyed is the adventure of making our own dairy products.